I have all my CDs. I have them all, and I
Do you
gave
really?
yeah I
Get
gave
the
a
fuck out of
big
here.
yeah I gave a big spindle to Leslie because I found a old CD jukebox thing at Goodwill. I think last summer, and I pulled all my CDs down and I gave them to her. She's been rocking them in the room. Like I can hear her like playing all my random CDs that,
How many would you say you have?
including like burned CDs. Oh my god, 200, 250.
No shit.
Yeah, stuff that
I
you can't get
sold.
anymore too, like soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I really hang on to. CD
So, dude, I had
singles.
like I had a handful of like obscure CDs. I don't even think you can get with all the music on them because like those shit got like relicensed over the years type of thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
And stuff I would just absolutely kill for but stuff that I wouldn't even think of. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like going through like this like little stack of CDs I found. Oddly enough, first one that fucking popped down, Beatles' greatest hits.
How many of those
With like
exist?
5,000. Like I got a like the Clash, Radiohead, The Strokes, Dr. Demento, Bob Dylan,
Oh my god,
The
Dr.
Grateful
Demento.
Dead.
I was thinking about that the other day and how we used to have that tape, the Dr. Demento tape.
This is the exact same album actually. So the
I
tape
can't find
my
it
mom
anywhere. I cannot find it anywhere. I've been on the
I
Internet
still have
Archive
it.
and I've tried to. All the songs are there, but they're all like from his live broadcasts. But I can't find the actual studio. Like they're coming to take me away, haha! They're coming to take me
Ah,
away,
hey,
ho,
hey,
hee,
hey,
ho, to the
hey,
funny
you-
farm,
funny
where
farm,
life is
where life
beautiful
is beautiful
all the time, and I'll be
And
happy
I'll
to
be
see.
happy to see myself. No, 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 no. Dude, that. Do you remember the one? So this is actually really funny. So I have this friend Alyssa who I love. She's one of my favorite people in
Classic.
the entire world. So there's a song on Dr. Demento. It's by T-Bone Walker, I believe is his name.
The Existential Blues.
The Existential Blues. So
Yes.
when we first moved to South Bend and I didn't know anybody there, girl Alyssa that my girlfriend worked with, it was like the second or third time we had ever met, and we were kind of like feeling each other out. We were having drinks over at my house. Of like, are we going to be friends, or are like you my girlfriend's work friend? Like, what's our relationship going to be? Because we didn't know each other. So we're sitting there, and I don't even know like what prompted me to go, puppies, 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 puppies. And she responded with, puppies, 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 puppies. And I went, puppies, 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 puppies. And she goes, and a little old lady on a Hoover vacuum cleaner. And I was like, oh my God, I found the one. It is the only other person I have ever met in my entire life. And I have asked people about this song. I have played this. That song is 6 minutes and 40 seconds. That song is like long enough to drive to the gas station, get a Pepsi, and drive on back. It is a very long song that I've sat looking at people like this as they've listened to it. That was fucking because I think that song is hysterical. You and her are the only people I've ever met in my entire life who actually know and enjoy that song. Because everyone else is like, by minute 2, they're like, please turn this off. I don't know what.
It was great, and that was another thing where like it was smart humor. Like it was stupid to everyone else, but if you like actually sat there and listened to it and digested it, it was like, wow, this is fucking
brilliant.
genius.
It's absolutely brilliant. I'd rather have this bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. I still drop that joke, and people just look at me like I'm fucking nuts. Like, what's wrong with you?
Gee, mister, you're tall.
Gee, mister, you're tall. Dude, I'll tell you what, that's 70% of every conversation I have with every person who ever meets me. They're like, you're tall. I'm like, no shit. No shit. I also have brown hair. Glasses.
Man,
What's
can you
it like
send
there?
that to me? How can you like import it into your computer and send me the files, please? Because
What do you think you're talking to?
bro, this is like 2010 shit. Come on, you gotta know how to do that by now.
Dude, I'm like 2005. I'm still angry at Windows XP.
All right, well then wrap the CD up in
No,
an
I know.
envelope and mail it to me, I'll import it. I'll mail it back.
No, I can get it too. Don't worry. But here's the thing. I bet you that there's like 5 people who know this song. I bet you anything, you can get the rights to this song to play. I bet you can. You should try.
Which one?
Dr. Demento is awesome. Existential Blues.
I would like to play it.
Dude,
I'd play it on the show.
Like 5 people know it. It's amazing. Dude, this entire album is comic gold top to bottom. It is like fish heads, roly-poly fish heads.
Roly-poly fish heads.
Fish heads.
Eat them
Yeah,
up.
it's all just... And once again, my mom gave this shit to me. It's like how I got my sense of humor. Like, there's a lot of blame to go around. It's not just like a One Direction thing, because my community was like, let's make them weird.
Well, it was the first time I've ever seen a double cassette tape.
Yeah, me too.
It was a double tape. Like, you'd open it, and there would be tapes on both sides. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was like the mystery behind him. I guess he was a big radio DJ for years and years and years.
Wait, Dr. Demento? Dr. Demento's huge. He gave Weird Al's break, homie.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, like, I didn't when I listened to that album with you, I didn't know the history behind him until later on in life. So
I was like, he has a fuzzy beard. What's his deal? Let's listen to his music. I thought it was one guy at first just playing all this shit, and I was like, man, this guy is.
But the Internet Archive has all of his like old shows. If you ever want to go on and just put it on, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Dude, we hawked Weird Al tickets about 1.5 years ago. Have you ever by chance seen Weird Al in concert?
No, but I want to before I die because his shows apparently are like phenomenal.
Okay, so we saw him at the Kansas City Symphony. Tickets were like $160 at Face. Like, if there's a big show in town that we want to see and I'm way too cheap to pay for, I'll sit and like hawk tickets that night for I'm like, someone got COVID. Yay, me, going to the show. Only time I'm rooting for COVID. Not like for someone to like wind up in the hospital, but like miss a day of work, can't go to the show. Sell me their tickets for $30. And we got really good seats. And all it was Weird Al playing his, like, not as well-known songs. The genres of music that he covered was fucking astounding. He covered songs that sound like Rage Against the Machine, and he sounded like Zach. It was him, a guitarist, a drummer, and a bass player. That was it. And it was them on stools, drummer on a riser, and Weird Al with a microphone. That was it. It was the best musical performance I've ever seen by a band in a setting like that, like that's how tight they were. For an encore, they covered Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads.
Ooh. But not like a parody version, like an actual cover?
No. I took video of it on my phone. I'll send it to you. It sounds just like the Talking Heads. It's mind-blowingly good.
So just straight cover, no parody.
Straight cover, no parody. He was like, we're going to do an encore. What does everybody want? And people are like, I'm screaming out, smells like Teen Spirit, burn! Like whatever I can pop, like whatever Weird Al pops into my head, I'm like, eat it! But dude, yeah, utterly amazing. Such a good concert. And fucking dude, Weird Al. Just Weird Al. I'd go see him again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, in my very random vinyl collection, I have one of his dad's old polka records. Because his dad was in a polka band. Yeah, the Yankovic something or another polka extravaganza. I don't know. But I have one of those. I found it at Goodwill, and I was like, this has to be Weird Al's dad. And yeah, it is. He was in a polka. That's why he does all those polka mixes at the end of every album, the mashups. But because that's what he was raised on.
So I love collecting like old, like weird paperbacks, records. Like one of the records I have the All in the Family cast album. It's just as strange as you would think it is. I love weird paperbacks. I have this whole shelf of just really strange paperbacks. Some of them are actually like legitimately cool paperbacks too, though. Like we're talking like I have some really amazing civil rights books, but then I also have like the paperback edition of Superman 3.
What the fuck?
If you're curious, that is Superman carrying Richard Pryor as he flies away. Yeah, because this is the actual movie. This is integral to the plot of Superman 3 is Superman and Richard Pryor hanging out.
Yeah, I remember him being in it. I don't remember the movie very well, but I remember him being in it.
No one does. The people who made it don't remember it. They were all on far too much cocaine. But then I have...
Was that the one where Superman gets drunk at a bar and like?
It is. It's where Superman gets hammered and then has to fight himself in a junkyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, and like even Richard Pryor's like, this is weird. gonna go do. And the lady at the end turns into a robot. The plot is straight out of Nickelodeon, and I'm gonna paraphrase this. I don't think I'm actually right, but this is gonna sound so lunatic. You're gonna be like, "This sounds right." Is that Richard Pryor plays a computer programmer, like the '80s hacker who's just like, this is the '80s hacker who's like, I'm in, and that's Richard Pryor's job in this movie. Then I believe, though I'm not positive, that the lady who won an Oscar for playing Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is the main villain, who has the help of Lex Luthor's nephew, I want to say, but Lex Luthor's not in the movie. It's just his nephew, because like Gene Hackman was like, there's not enough money for this bullshit.
Oh, that's a Hackman move.
But at the very end, the Nurse Ratched lady, things happen, gets covered in chemicals that turn her into a robot, because people didn't know shit about technology in the 80s. Like, I think, dude, people had some wild, and not like we're going to have flying cars expectations, like not the stuff from the 50s. Like, I can understand, you know, it's just after World War II, Grammy and Grampy are at the World's Fair, it's going great, and they're walking and they're like, fuck yeah, jetpacks, flying cars, TV dinners, it's going to be great in the future. And then their kids are just hippies, and they're like, god damn it. But our parents shouldn't have been stupid enough to think that this was how technology ever worked. Really go back and look at how people thought technology worked in the 80s, and people just thought you took like a handful of like transistor boards and microchips, threw them at a wall, and they just magically turned into a computer. None of it was like that. Like the internet, like people are like, there was hackers. No, there weren't. Like, do you know what hacking was in the 80s? It was a guy blowing a toy whistle into a payphone. Yeah. That's actually what hacking was in the 80s. It was copying the tones with I want to say I think it was an Oscar Mayer Wiener toy whistle.
Oh my
God.
God.
Like, it was called phreaking. And that's what happens. And that's what hacking it. But like people in the 80s really thought that like you could just pull like a circuit board out and then like launch a nuclear missile. And they also thought that like boarding school kids could take on terrorists, because that was always the thing. That was a big plot point in a lot of movies. Fucking toy soldiers.
Well, thanks for the summary of Superman 3.
Oh, and at one point Superman has to dodge missiles. Like full on. Like he's flying like this. This is where the Superman video game came from, when he's flying and is just dodging missiles like this.
Oh, I always wondered like where that game came from. I used to play that at the hockey rink in Darien. They had this Superman fucking game there, and it was fun, but I didn't know where any of it came from.
And now you do, and knowing is half the battle. You know the story of Superman 3.
Hey, do you have any...
It's a terrible movie.
I know, I want to watch it, but I don't even want to waste my time.
Secretly fantastic. Do you remember, like we were talking about feral kids earlier? Do you remember, like, the feral kid houses? I remember, like, this weird network of, like, kids who I don't think went to our school, but who, like, you knew, or, like, John knew, or I knew. And there'd never be a parent home ever. And I'm pretty sure, like, there were kids, like, smoking crack in the corner. Like, there was some girl who, like, lived down on Bartlett. No idea who the fuck she was. You would just go to her house and, like, party, and they'd be like, oh, take my mom's beer. She doesn't care. And at the time, you're like, that's so cool.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. I forgot her name. But yes,
there were several
I do.
Houses like that.
And we would actively seek those kids out because they were the funnest to hang out with. You just have you'd go over there after school and you'd have just free reign on anything in the house, and for however long we could stay there, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was just like,
dude,
just like
I thought
weeks on end we would crash there and just like.
I think I had to like talk you guys out of calling an ambulance when I was like 17. I was like, no, I'll be fine. Because I was just like, no, like, dude, I remember, being at her house, like, just drunk and high as shit. And I think at some point her mom came in and was like, hey, kids, might order pizza if you guys want any. And I'm like, sitting like a 40 in one hand, a blunt in the other, and I'm like, pepperoni? God.
Everything,
dude,
bro. Everything. Going further back, there was another kid who lived behind you in that little neighborhood, but he was like a metal kid. He had long hair. He's kind of skinny. I'm talking like cut off sleeves, the jeans with the ripped like knees.
Dude, I think that was, frankly, kind of a piece of shit kid. His dad was like a big holy roller.
Did he have like a nickname? Did they call him like or something like that?
Yeah, that's. I believe that's who it was. I
No.
believe so. I'm not sure though. Yeah.
It wasn't him. It was someone else. But I credit him for showing me Guns N' Roses for the first time, Appetite for Destruction. I don't know, it was just one of those times where we would just walk around the neighborhood and whatever kid let us in the house, we would just go in the house. But his older brothers were there, I remember, and they were like drinking Budweisers and listening to like Metallica, and he was younger, he was our age, and then he pulled off this record off the shelf and showed it to me, and it was the Appetite for Destruction cross. I didn't hear it that day, but the album cover like stuck with me, so the next time I was able to acquire the album, I did, because it just looked so badass from the outside, and I listened to it, and that's how I fell in love with Guns N' Roses. But I can't remember his name.
There was the whole like network of like just the cool older kids, like even Jeannie. My mom was just like, she was just the cool older kid who would like be like, oh, look at this album. I remember finding Blood Sugar Sex Magic in a box. Like, I put it in the tape player and I hit play. That was good. That was one of the moments of like, ooh, I like this.
Yeah, that album was crazy. Hearing that for the first time.
And it's so much more fun that way than getting it pushed onto you by a system saying, yeah, you're going to like this. If you don't, you're still going to fucking listen to it. And we're still going to do what we do.
And the content is usually made to be presented to you in that way. So it's also that, too. You know, people aren't making stuff just to make stuff that they're passionate about anymore. So it's few and far between. I don't want to say at all, but
I've a really weird habit of like memorizing playlists. It's weird. It's like when you put shuffle on Spotify, like I kind of have a general idea of like what songs follow each other for some weird reason. And I always get really curious, and I get annoyed that I can't shuffle it up better. That it won't like truly randomize the playlists every time. So my like song list is like several thousand songs, I think. So I should hear like way more of my liked songs than I am hearing. Instead, I'm hearing the ones that I happen to have listened to the most, but the reason why I happen to have listened to those the most is probably because those have been presented to me the most. And some of them are my favorites, but it's like, I'm the type of person, like, every now and then I'll get like super obsessed with a song for like a week, and I was like, oh, fuck. Like the other day, the Wyclef song Gone in November popped into my head, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to listen to this for the next week.
I was singing that the other day, too. That's so crazy.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. It popped into my head, and I was like, the Carnival. Fucking Wyclef.
That was
Remember
a fun album.
Bee Gees? That's a really fun album. Yeah. I mean, and he was like all like the Bubba Goosed up, and then he like he got in trouble for like some shit in Haiti for like defrauding people or something, I think.
Wouldn't put it past him, but
Do you know that Praz was like on trial for like treason? Did you know about this?
No.
Praz. So this is what happened to the Fugees basically. Lauryn Hill went on to become Lauryn Hill, which basically means like you can go to a Lauryn Hill concert. Is Lauryn Hill going to show up? We don't know, and we're not making any judgments, assumptions, or otherwise as to what's going to happen. Wyclef just produced a whole bunch of shit, made like one really classic album, and I know a lot of his other music beyond that, to be honest with you. But that's just me. You know, he could have done fucking amazing shit. I don't know. Then he was going to like run for president of Haiti at one point, and I don't know if he got like accused of basically like stealing from the people of Haiti, which is bad in every way. But then fucking Praz somehow got roped into like some international spy ring, treason, espionage thing, and it was recently. He was on. I don't know if he was convicted. I gotta look this up real quick because that's how interesting this is. He recently. I don't know if he was found guilty. Yeah, Praz, Fugees, jail. Yes, so a D.C. jury found Praz guilty in April of 10 federal charges for his role in a web of conspiracies involving money laundering, campaign finance violation, illegal lobbying, and witness tampering. A sentencing date has not been set, but he faces up to 20 years in prison.
Oh, shit.
Fucking ghetto superstar, am I right? Yeah, it's fucking bazonkers. Hey, never learn about your heroes. Let's talk about unhappy things this morning. I woke up to a dead dog outside of my fucking house this morning.
How? Like hit by a car?
Got hit by a car and someone like threw a sheet over it this morning. Yeah, a fucking body. Living in a city, and I live in like a good city. You live in like a no, I'm just fucking kidding. Thinking back on how like the steps that evolve of going from we're going to introduce you to this movie. We're going to introduce you to this music. We're going to introduce you to this book, this art, and all these kind of cool little things. Goes really nicely side by side with, hey, I'm taking guitar lessons. do you want to take guitar lessons with me? And me saying yes, and rapidly realizing that I have fucking like zero musical talent whatsoever, which is also one of the, no, here's the thing, it's so funny, and I've heard you say this so many times about how you're not a good guitar player, where to me, I'm like, what's Jimmy Page over there saying? Get out of here. Because when you have no musical talent, you're just baffled by anybody who does. Like, I see somebody who can sit down and play, like I picked up a guitar at a thrift store the other day, just dicking around with an acoustic guitar that was sitting there. And I hit an actual chord, and I was like, look at me.
I still do that. If I hit my G chord right, I'm like, well, I can still do this.
The G spot, dude.
Oh.
It's very different. No, but like all those little things, they build with you. But I think like the fun part that I don't think we talk about enough is how incredibly ganky all of your attempts are when you don't know what you're doing. And you know, you've talked about with Rob, I've heard you talk about with a couple other people about being younger and like how you start doing these like the home recording parts and that home creation and that how do I fuck my way through putting my ideas together in a way that I have no respect being able to put this together without basically taking the entire process apart in my mind and rebuilding just this pile of pancake tower to get what you want on that cassette tape, on that blank Magnavox tape that you're going to sell at your show. Like, you had a closet that I think just had microphones in it. And that's where you sang.
Yeah, the closet, it had you'd walk in, it was maybe 10 feet long, 5 feet wide, maybe even less than 10 feet long. And, you know, it just had shelves.
Dude, that was way less than that.
I don't know. I'm bad at, imagining measurements. But it had like this, like a rack to like hang shirts, and then a shelf to like do like folded clothes, and then another shelf. I just cleared it out. I emptied it out, and I put all of my equipment on those two shelves. And then I had the microphone near the end of the closet, and then right outside the closet was my desk, and I had an old like Acer computer. It was like the family computer from 5 or 6 years ago that I basically.
Dude, I remember that computer. That computer I think weighed approximately 35 pounds.
Yeah, and it was basically obsolete by then, but it still ran like a shitty version of Windows. And the only reason I used it, I didn't record on it, but the only reason I used it was for the little thing that used to come with Windows. It was called like Soundwave or Wave Player or something. And I learned that I could record into the computer samples and then play them through Wave Player back into my 4-track recorder. So I would take a movie,
really?
Right? I would plug my VCR into the computer, play a movie. I wouldn't be able to see it, but I would be able to like cue it up on the TV first, unplug it, plug it into the computer, hit play on the VCR, and then get like a sample from a movie and dump it into the computer. And then I would trim it up on Soundwave, and I could hit the play button with the mouse on Soundwave and have it just do like a hello, my name, hello, my name, hello, my name, and I could play like the wave in the part of the song that I wanted to while just running it into my 4-track. So I did a lot of that, sampling without a sampler, I guess. And then that I just ran the cable into the closet with the 4-track. I also had, drum machines and all that stuff, and we would just go piece by piece, and we'd all just do it right there in my bedroom. And then when it came time to doing vocals, we just went in the closet. So, and I would mix in there too. I would actually be in there with the person singing, riding the faders, because I didn't have compressors or anything. So, and then when the band was there, we would go into the garage, and I would just run all the cables into the closet in my bedroom, because it was the same level as the garage. So, I had like my own little control room.
Dude, I remember at one point, I remember actually showing me in that closet like how you kind of had all those things running through, and my response had basically just been like, "Okay, I got nothing."
Yeah, if you didn't know what was going on in there, you didn't know what was going on. But that was probably
it's like watching somebody like paint a picture, it's beautiful and I love it. I'm so baffled by it that it gives me this appreciation of like how the fucking like it's like when you go like I'm a back guitar player, I'm like eat a dick. No, you're not. because it's such a weird little thing of like, I don't know, I it's not jealous, that's not the word I would look for. It's not inspired, but like, I don't know, I find it really interesting how different people view the different type of ability. Like, I'm a really good typist, of all things. I think you and I talked about that because I had to take fucking typing class like 6 times. I was a good student. But, you know, if I'm on the right type of keyboard, because that's very important, I can easily type like probably like 80, 90, 100 words a minute. Like, I'm a really quick typist. It's one of those like weird little skills I have, which allows me to write really quickly as far as like, it's just like a little skill that I have. And I use that creatively sometimes to like write like really quick stories to get them out. But I find like when people do that shit musically and like they're creating these systems like literally just breaking, like I can write whatever I want. And it doesn't matter. This is always this, like feelings. But to sit down and like break apart the different parts of how do I get this sound to go from here to here to here. I remember sitting there in your little studio and being like, how the fuck does any of this work? And you would explain it to me like, what are you not getting? Like, this is easy. I'm like, no, it's not. This is really hard.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, that goes for everything. Like, we can watch someone do their craft and not know what the heck they're doing, but, you know, to them it's easy because they've been doing it for so long and they have a fundamental understanding of it. But at least for me, it was...
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. You didn't. But that's the best part. Like, you so didn't. Like, you were literally probably, like, taking apart different, you know, track players with a screwdriver and like mixing and matching parts and probably electrocuting yourself a couple times.
Yeah, it was trial and error. We didn't have the internet. I couldn't just look up on YouTube how to do something, and it was, you plug it in, and if it worked, it worked. If not, you got a fucked up sound and you unplugged it and tried it a different way, or you ran to Radio Shack and you get a different cable, or you get a different adapter, or you know whatever the thing was that got us to do it. I mean, There were points in time where it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning and we'd have an idea for a song and I wouldn't have any more blank tapes. Like, where do you get a blank tape at 2 o'clock in the morning? You know what you do? You take a real consumer tape, like, I don't know, Rush cassette that you never listened to, and you record over it. You put a little piece of tape on the little openings on the top and then it's recordable. It sounded like shit.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the little tapes.
Yeah, dude, I forgot about that trick.
So, like, this tape, if you were in a pinch and you needed to record on something, you didn't have any blank tapes had, like, this little piece right here had a tab on it. It was covered up, right?
I remember those.
And then once you record on the tape, you pop the tab out so you can't accidentally record over it again. But what we would do is we would take consumer tapes that already had shit on it, and we would put a little piece of tape on it, put it back in the thing, and boom, the record button works. So in a pinch, if you needed to record on something, you just used a tape that already existed and just recorded over it. Now, the bad part about that is that the sound quality was great because you're doing another pass magnetically over the tape that's already there. And, you know, it wouldn't sound that great, but the idea would be there and you could do it again if you wanted to. But, you know, sometimes we just kept it.
Keith Richards wrote the first licks of Satisfaction in the middle of the night, woke up, didn't remember doing it, and just found a tape and hit play and was like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
Cocaine to celebrate?
Yeah. I remember reading about that. And he was drunk. He was drunk as fuck. And he said if he didn't record it, he would have never remembered it.
So he's my hero.
It's crazy.
I met him.
Keith Richards? How was that?
I thought I told you about this. There's a blues bar in Westport for a little while, and there was like a huge statue up front of Jake and Elwood Blues, and he was like, Keith Richards is up here in this little bar. You guys should come up and see him. He's just hanging out. So we're like, fuck yeah, it's Keith Richards.
Right? Did he live in Fairfield?
Weston.
Oh,
he lived in Weston. When Bill was picking up dumpsters for a living, he used to pick up Keith Richards' dumpster every now and then. Super nice guy, apparently.
Man, I would love to be a fly on the wall in that dumpster.
So Merle and I drive up there, and we get into the bar, and the table we get sat at is actually right next to the table Keith Richards is sitting at. And first, this is after they had banned smoking in bars in Connecticut, and he's just sitting there fucking hacking away and ashing under the table and like hiding his cigarette. And it's Keith Richards. No one's going to say a word.
Nope.
There's a bottle of champagne on ice. He's drinking straight out of the bottle. The guy with him, who was doing his security, randomly, I fucking knew. So I knew this guy, and this is actually a really weird story. he was at the time the boyfriend of somebody that I had worked with like the year prior, and a couple years older than me. And I remember meeting him and him presenting himself as like ex-military, and like I just got out of the SEALs. So he sees me, he's like, "Oh, what's up? How's it going? Just here with Keith doing some security tonight." And I'm like, "This is amazing. This is the coolest night of my life." So I'm just sitting next to Keith Richards. And we're not talking, like, we're not hanging out. Like, we're just at tables next to each other. And he's with the guy that I know. So at one point, Keith Richards decides that he wants to get up and play with the guy whose name I want to say was Honeyboy Walker. I always want to say that. I think I'm always wrong. And Keith Richards gets up and joins him. And they do like 5 or 6 numbers. And it was like 75 people there. It was incredible. Wow. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So we go to the bar closes and we leave and we walk out with Keith Richards and with the guy that knows the bouncer or the bodyguard or whatever. And I get to shake Keith Richards' hand, say thanks for what a great night, and he gave me his guitar pick actually.
Oh shit, that's
which
cool.
Somehow I lost years ago. But so this is actually the really fucked up side note for this story. Turns out the guy that was doing security was not some ex-military Green Beret badass. He was some like state-by-state con man who presented himself this way and like took advantage of the person that I'd worked with, to the point where the story that I had heard was that she like lost her, like her life just like fell apart basically. Because the guy like made it up and the whole thing was just complete bullshit about it being like an ex-Navy SEAL and stuff. Fucking people, dude. People are fucking bonkers. Yeah. Did not get to do Blow with Keith, though. That was really disappointing.
Wait, you had another story. You said you worked...
I've done everything. You name it, I have done. I've been a commercial fisherman, believe it or not.
But
I was a squirrel wrangler for a day. This is true.
Yeah, tell me this one.
I was a professional squirrel wrangler for one day and this is entirely true. You can Google it. You can look it up, for Twiggy the water skiing squirrel. Twiggy the water skiing squirrel was one of the star attractions. Don't laugh. This is true. Was one of the star attractions of the Norwalk in-water boat show. And what Twiggy the squirrel did, Twiggy the squirrel, one day only. Twiggy the squirrel does not play double dates. You get one shot at Twiggy, out of town. So Twiggy has a kiddie pool that Twiggy gets dragged behind a remote-controlled boat on a little pair of water skis on a rope.
But how does
the boat?
How does the squirrel know about physics and know how to do that?
It doesn't know. It just holds on for dear life and looks fucking terrified. Because
does
here's
it have
the key.
little squirrel-sized skis on it?
It absolutely does. It has little tiny, like, popsicle-sized skis that... It's a little bit cheating, though, because I'm going to tell you the secret about Twiggy. There's a clear platform underneath, so he's not really skiing, but it's okay. Our lives are
ruin
bullshit.
The illusion. You just ruin the illusion.
Bullshit and lies. But here's the thing. When Twiggy is... I have to draw a diagram for this. When Twiggy is going around, Twiggy stays at a very appropriate distance from the edge of the pool. Mm-hmm. And we're not talking like one of the nice above ground pools. We're talking like that sketchy family down the street with too many bikes in the yard for the amount of kids they have. Pool in the backyard bullshit. You know that family. Twiggy is very kept far away from the edge. He's in that little shitty pool that's like maybe 1.5 feet tall. They're like, why do you even bother? Just get a fucking garden hose and spray each other like animals that you are. Twiggy's kept away from the edges of the pool because Twiggy wants out. Twiggy does not want to be in the pool, being dragged behind the fucking little boat in the middle of the pool. As the announcer, who was a lunatic. Like, Twiggy had a trailer, Twiggy was a prima donna, and I don't think Twiggy wanted... I think Twiggy, the water skiing squirrel's trainer and owner, Tani, really wanted this going on. Because this lady was like, Twiggy doesn't perform for anything less than $20,000 in an envelope of cash. It was... This... It was for some reason like cowboy regalia, like big white hat. And as Twiggy's being like dragged behind the boat, she's like, Twiggy loves water skiing, don't you, Twiggy? Ha ha ha! Isn't that? And Twiggy's just like, ah! And so
I figured like squirrels would have an aversion to water, like if it were a cat. Like,
dude, I have an
I don't think
aversion to being
squirrels
dragged behind a boat against my will. It's not like just a squirrel or marmot thing. Like, it's an across the board fucking thing. So anyway, this is when we found out why they needed wranglers for Twiggy the water skiing squirrel. So I said Twiggy wanted out. Twiggy was an active participant, but maybe not a willing participant. Twiggy came too close to glory and was able to jump off its skis onto the little ledge of the pool and catapult himself into the crowd, where it then became our job to run around and try and corral water skiing squirrel. As it, like wooden bleachers, like this thing had perches. He's like, ha, fuckers, ha, and just like fucking shooting around everywhere. And we're literally running around in the parking lot, just running around trying to capture Twiggy the fucking water skiing squirrel for $19 an hour, which was great money in 2000, like $19.99. That was a fair salary for a fair's day work.
So Twiggy found this little loophole where he can scoot right out of the pool.
Twiggy found an out and was like, fucking freedom! And was gone.
But he was never successful because he had you wranglers.
We got him. We were professionals. We did the job that we were hired to do. And that's
so then he just goes back in the pool.
Because it's integrity. I threw his little ass right back on the fucking boat. I was like, not today, Twiggy. You're staying right the fuck here, buddy. I'm sorry.
You're just as bad as the rest of them. I would have let him go.
I ate squirrel once. Okay, so do you remember
I heard
the
it's
neighbor
pretty
that called
good.
them? It was delicious.
Yeah,
it was
I heard it's
absolutely
pretty good.
delicious. So, do you remember the night that you? It was the night that you had worked as a barista for the grand opening of the hotel I was running in Norwalk.
Oh shit, I remember that.
Afterwards, my boss was like, "Hey, we have all this leftover booze. Would you guys like it?" And I think we were like 24, 25 at the time. We were like, okay. You want to give us how many fucking like coolers of red wine and beer to bring back to my house? Sold. And we were listening to, you remember we were listening to Nirvana Unplugged, which is like the most mellow album in the history of rock. And there's like a banging on my front door. And I go downstairs and it was two cops. And they were like, we have a report of someone being attacked or sexually assaulted at your house. You and I were like drinking rum and like smoking butts up in my bedroom, and I was like, no, it's two guys up there listening to Nirvana and getting drunk by ourselves, officers, if you want to come up. As I see my neighbor like popping out of the bushes like, aha. Cut to like a week or two later, I'm getting out of my car, going into my house from work, and he's outside grilling, and he used to have all these traps all over his yard. And he's outside grilling, and he comes at me with like a meat stick, like a wooden skewer of just hunks of meat. I don't know what it was, but he was like, and he spoke Greek, and he knew very little English, or that's what he and I's relationship was about. Was not a lot of communication on his part. He literally was like, eat, 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 and like just forcing this meat upon me, and Twiggy was fucking delicious. It was. I'll drown him and fry him up any day. It was good. And then that directly led to the time I ate a hot dog off of the floor of Grand Central Station after it had fallen out of its bun and rolled down the ramp. But that's
you are a brave man. I would love to hear the events leading up to that
I can't
moment.
be killed by mortal means.
Apparently not.
I can't tell. I can't. That's a long story that I can't tell you. I gotta go have dinner.
Cool. Thanks, dude. It's always great talking to you. See ya.